Good morning, everybody. Come on in. We will get started right on 10 a.m. So just under 2 minutes time. Just under 2 minutes, we'll get started. It's nice to see you today. And here I am with no makeup on a Friday, and it's okay. No, I'm really happy to be here today. Today is a really different topic. I'm sharing 5 things that I'm doing in my business right now that you can also do in your business if it makes sense to you, or you can adjust it or pick and choose what you want of it. But we're doing really well right now. And when I say doing really well, that doesn't mean money. It can mean lots of other things. So I want to share how we're doing really well and why I think these 5 things are really helping us right now. So we're going to get started right on 10. I've got my coffee. I'm up in the guest room today. Because some workers came to check our HVAC units. I learned something very interesting when we moved into this house in September, and it's a new build, and we ripped up all the carpets and put down luxury vinyl. And we did that before we moved in, of course, and we did it after escrow closed. It's less expensive that way. And when we did that, we didn't tape up the air vents. We left them open, and so our air vents were full. Can you imagine? They were chocker full. They were blocked, and so we had called the HVAC people to see because we weren't getting any air in my office downstairs, and it's so cold, which is why I'm moving around the house every time to do these sessions, because my office is freezing even with the fireplace on. So now we've learned, if we ever have construction work like that again, we will cover up our air vents. So there we go. Alrighty, I am going to get started in just a second. It is 10 a.m. I'm actually going to spend most of the time with my camera off, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about why I chose this topic. So for those of you who, I would like to know first, is there anyone who is here for the very first time? If you are here for the very, very, very first time, go ahead and write #first time if it's your first time coming into our community to do a training. So maybe you saw me at a host agency training or a consortia training. By the way, if your host agency or consortia would like to have a training session, we provide those free of charge. So just let them know to reach out to us, or send them an email and copy us, let us know. And so if you're here for the first time, go ahead and write first time in the chat. You are so welcome here. This is a really good group of people, amazing group of people. And we run these power session weeks a couple of times a year, and they're free always. And we try to just give you up-to-date training that will help you implement changes, make changes in your business that'll help you to move forward. So today's training is a different topic. Like I said, it's called 5 things that I'm doing right now in my travel business that are really helping me. And there are things that are helping us to be successful right now. And I think you have to think about what the definition of successful is. So it's different for everyone. For us, successful right now means that we don't feel really overwhelmed. Notice that I just say really just then. We don't feel really overwhelmed. We feel excited. We feel in control in the business, my team and I. We feel like we are not only catching up, but we have a sense of, we feel like we're moving forward, we're getting ahead. And that's a really, really good feeling. We feel like we are more responsive and faster to respond back to our emails and in our inbox. We feel a peace in our business right now. Now, those are all feelings based, but the other reason that we feel successful, that we're doing these 5 things in our business right now, is because it's allowing us to improve on the quality of our work. So do you ever have those moments where you say to yourself, gosh, when I have more time, I would do X, Y, Z, but for now, I'm just going to get the basics done. We're able to focus on XYZ type of things because we don't feel like we're behind. We don't feel like we are like just trying to keep our heads above water. So the quality of our work has improved. We also are able to work on, like I said, those XYZ things. So I'm going to jump straight in now and really help you to be able to learn what it is that we're doing, and hopefully you'll be able to implement a couple of things in your business. So make some notes as I go through each thing. If you sort of see something in here and you think, gosh, I could do that, but I can kind of tweak it, make a note. The type of notes that I think are the best type of notes to take are actually task orientated notes. So rather than write a note saying she does XYZ, turn it into a task. Why don't you try that today? If you don't usually take notes that way, try and take notes in forms of a task. One of my jobs when I was really, really young, like 20 years ago, I was working for a tourism board, and the tourism board director, I used to see her in a meeting. She'd write lots of notes, and then every now and then she would write AI, which in today's day AI means something completely different. But she would write AI dash, and then she'd write something next to it. So her whole notes page was full of writing, and then next to it was every now and then there'd be an AI, and she would underline it or circle it. And one day I said to her, may I ask, what does AI mean? Because I was so embarrassed. I was part curious, but part embarrassed that maybe it should be like an abbreviation that I knew for this tourism board. And I couldn't figure it out. And she said, my dear, AI is an action item. So all of my notes are just things that I hear, that I like, that I want to know, that I want to remember. But at the end of the meeting, I go back through my book and through my notes, and I pull out all the AIs and I add them to my task list. And I was like, that's cool. So I've actually done that for the last 20 years. I put AI in my notebook. And then after a meeting or training, I go straight to my task list. I add all the action items, and now I actually go ahead and schedule those onto my calendar to get done. So today, see if you can write some AIs, some action items onto your list, because at the end, I'm going to ask you what your AIs are, what your action items are. Okay, so let me jump straight in. If you see the camera moving backwards and forwards, in and out of focus, it's because I'm up in the guest room and the camera's really close to me, and it's the autofocus. It doesn't happen when we're down in the studio and down in the office/studio. And now that our HVAC is fixed, I hope to be moving back. Okay, so let's jump straight in. You should be able to see my slides right now, and we're going to talk about these 5 things. So I figured out how to move the purple dot. Y'all was so angry about the purple dot last week. There we go. Okay, so the first one is Friday equals planning, which is really exciting for me. I've done this for a couple of weeks now. Today is my 3rd week to do this, so this is legit new. So why is Friday now my planning day? Well, Mondays seem to start and run at a faster pace than Fridays. Have you ever noticed that? Monday is like just a really, really fast day, and out of nowhere, it's after lunch and you're hungry. Well, Friday afternoons run a little slower in my mind. I don't know about you. You can let me know in the chat. But I feel like Friday is a great time to reflect on what I've done during the week and where I want to be next week. I think what's obvious to me when I sit down and do this task is what did not get done. So I try to also remind myself of what we did get done, but what did not get done now becomes part of my next week's planning. So what I'm actually doing is creating a Dropbox document, and it's got team weekly priorities on it. And I split it up by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I put bullet points underneath each one of the main tasks. So I'm sending my team clear tasks or projects that have to be done each day in addition to the general duties. This helps me to know that it's all going to get done, and I can also spread tasks out among the team. So for example, last week, and I'm going to talk to you about if you don't have a team, so don't stress about that, but I always want you to learn for having a team, because having a team might just mean that you've got one person that's doing 3 hours of work for you. It might mean that you've got a teenage kid or a college-age kid that's helping you out. So it could be ICs in your team. I hate that term, ICs. It could be other travel advisors in your team. So I basically create a Dropbox document. I split it up Monday to Friday. I'm going to show you behind the scenes of one in a second. I split it up Monday through Friday, and then I put some key tasks in there that are kind of outside what they have to do. So let's talk about Flora, for example, on our team. Flora works full-time. Flora's job every day is to make sure that the inbox is answered, that every single email in the inbox is answered, and anything that's going to take more than a day to follow up, that she checks in and asks a team member, hey, have you followed this up? Do you need help? That kind of thing. I'm not going to put that on her daily, on the weekly priorities, because that's her day-to-day job. One of Ez's jobs is to make sure that our website is always working and it's working well. I'm not going to put that kind of stuff on there. I don't want this weekly priorities to be a definitive list of when you're done these tasks, you're done, and there's nothing else on this list that you need to do. These are just additional things like projects that we have or things going on that need to get done. Often they can be things that we're falling behind on as well that we want to get ahead of. So why do I do this? My team feels part of something bigger. I had no idea when we first did it how they would feel. And all three, my two full-time girls and my one part-time, came back and said, oh my gosh, it's amazing. This is so great. I love this so much. Let's do this every week. And when I sent it, I actually just sent it as a message, as a DM. And one of the girls came back, Chris came back and said, I think we should put this in Dropbox and then we can see it every week. And instead of doing bullet points, we turned them into checkboxes. So here are some pro tips on how to make sure that this gets done really well. And then I'll show you what mine actually looks like. The first pro tip is to keep the list in a file that everyone can see. So even if it's just you right now, start making one every single Friday that is for your next week, and you can track from week to week. What's really interesting is that you see behaviors come up that you're like, oh, why is this thing still on my list? Like this, this should not still be on my list. So I really like making sure that it's somewhere where everybody can see, but you can also see the previous ones. The second pro tip is to not be afraid to go light. You can always add more later. So you don't have to have something for every person on every day. You just really have to ask yourself, what does the business need right now? So your business might need some Travefy itineraries done up so that you can link them to your website or put them in your email marketing. So it might be that you say on your team, I want someone to take this river cruise brochure, and I want someone to pull up the Mekong itinerary, and I want them to go through the itinerary and type this out in Travefy so that I can put a link to this on my website or in my social media. And so that might be something that you say, you know what, I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to create itineraries in Travefy for like sample itineraries so that I can use them for marketing purposes. And it's just something that never happened. So you might say this week, by the end of the week, we want 3 itineraries in Travefy. And so you would assign that to a team member, or you might assign 1 to each team member if you have 3 people. If it's just you, then you might put Thursday, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create 3 itineraries in Travefy, as opposed to 1 every day, but we'll talk about that in a second. Then the next thing that is a pro tip is to use checkboxes so that your team can check the tasks off as they go. So this is really funny because I did not intend it to be a public acknowledgement of, look, I've done all my tasks and look, I finished everything, but it kind of became that. And no one wants to get embarrassed and no one wants to be the person that didn't do their bit. Like you don't want to see something that says Sandra to ... and everybody else checked off their things and you didn't. So it's kind of like a healthy motivation, like a team motivation, that you don't want your name to be up there that you didn't do your task. Then, like I said, if you don't have a team to do this for you, still do it for your own time. Just go really, really light. Like because you've got your regular day stuff to be done, just put that small, it might just be next week. You're just going to do 1 Travefy itinerary for one of your like areas in your niche that you want to sell a lot more of. So maybe you decided, like I said, to do river cruising. You might just say, next week, I'm just going to do 1 Travefy itinerary. I'm going to build it. I'm going to put all this stuff in it. That's going to be my one thing that I've always wanted to get done that I haven't gotten done. Or it might be testimonials or just booked. Oh my gosh, everyone's on the just booked bandwagon after the bundle that we put out. We put out a bundle in our shop called Just Booked, where you can actually do posts of just booked. And maybe because of wave season, you've been really busy and you haven't had a chance to do it. Maybe that's something where you say, okay, next Tuesday on my weekly task list, I'm going to put I'm going to do an hour of just booked posts. All right. So that is my second one. That's my first tip of what I'm doing right now that's working really, really well for me. I had no idea it's going to work that well. The next one, I am batch creating. So why am I batch creating? This is real talk here. I was tired of failing. I literally have been failing for the last 6 years when it comes to content creation. I'm talking about I was failing to release new podcast episodes, failing to get weekly consistent emails out. That's only been a recent thing that I've been consistent. I was failing to do regular social media posts. I'm doing really well at all three of these things now, but I was failing until very recently. So I don't put a lot of pressure on myself when it comes to failing, but I do acknowledge that what I'm doing, it hasn't been working. So I got to do something different. I teach batch creating. I practice batch creating, but I think that I needed to do better. I know that I needed to do better. I needed to adjust my batch creating methods. So I felt like my content also was always created at the last minute and it was lacking an opportunity to be better. So it was good. We're not putting out rubbish, but I felt like I lacked the chance to make it better because I ran out of time. You know, like if you're decorating a cake and you only have yourself like 10 minutes to quickly put all like the stuff on the top, it would be different and you'll do a good job, but it would be different if you had 30 minutes to do it. So I just was like kind of like scraping in at the last minute, you know. I used to have a bumper sticker on my car when I was in college that said if it wasn't for the last minute, nothing would get done. And I curse that bumper sticker now because I feel like she stayed with me even after I smashed the car. Okay. And then the other reason that I started taking batch creating more seriously is I hated the feeling of chasing weeks. Does anyone feel like they're chasing weeks? Some weeks I feel like I'm chasing weeks, and other weeks I feel like the weeks are chasing me down the calendar. It just was too much. I didn't like that feeling. I felt like I was letting other people down. I felt like I was letting you down. I was letting myself down. I teach this stuff and I needed to do better. So here are some of the pro tips that I would suggest for batch creating. The first one is to make a list of all the things that you can batch create. All the things that you can batch create. So I'm kind of going to go into my second pro tip and then merge them together. I like to batch create by tool. Batch create by tool. So if you know that you're going to sit down and do itinerary work and you're going to order your brochures, download your brochures, whatever you're going to do, you'll have all of those ready. You'll be prepared for your batch creating session, but you'll also only be using one tool. So you might just be using, or maybe two tools, like you might be using the brochure on a supplier website and you might be using Travefy, and that's all you're using, or the brochure to a Word doc. That's all you're using. Another example would be that you might be scheduling social media content, not creating it, not working in Canva, literally just scheduling. So you would have open our new favorite tool once you get approved and signed in. It's the only frustrating bit about setting it up, is that we would have Hello Wolfie open, for example, and we would have all our content from Dropbox. So I would only have those two tools available. What happens when you have less tools and you are batch creating is that you allow yourself to work faster. So think of it this way. If you have a toolbox, and like in this room, for example, behind my head are these black panels, and we stuck these up ourselves. It looks average in here, but in our bedroom, it looks amazing. And in my office, it looks amazing. When we went to do this, you need a bunch of tools, right? You've got to have the tape, you've got to have scissors, you've got to have a ton of stuff out. But what we found was that by moving through this production line one step at a time and pulling out all these different tools, it wasn't time effective for us. So instead, what we did is we laid them all out first. We used the measuring tools that we needed. Then when we were done with that, we pulled out the tape because they just have adhesive on the back, and we counted out the tape squares and put them like 4 on each one. So we count them out in piles of 4. Then we did a production line where I would rip off the tape and stick it down, and then I on all 4 corners, and then I would pass it to Anthony on the ladder and he would put it up. That's like mini batch creating in a one bigger task, right? And it was so much easier. We also removed the distractions that we had. So we counted out exactly how many tiles that we would need. They're like 23 by 20, 18 by 18, these tiles. And we counted out how many tiles we would need. We were able to remove all the ones that we didn't need away from our space and only have what we needed. So the equivalent of that would be removing like your phone. When I'm batch creating, I actually work with my phone face down. How many of you work with your phone face up? And how many of you work with your phone face down? Because when you're mid-task, especially when you're batch creating, there isn't a reason to take a phone call. Now, there's a couple of people that I want to take urgent phone calls from. Houston's Montessori is one of them. So Houston's Montessori has a very different ringtone to everything else. So if I hear my phone ring, I'm letting it just go straight to voicemail, or I'm diverting my phone to Anthony, for example. But when I'm doing a 25-minute concentrated work, Pomodoro, like a concentrated work block, I'm okay not to answer my phone for 25 minutes. Even if it's urgent, people will always find my husband, right? So I get rid of all of the distractions, and I batch create by tool. If I'm going to be updating my website content, I'm just going to have my website open, and I'm going to have my Dropbox open, and I'm not going to have anything else open. So batch creating has been super amazing for me. I would love for you to think about what could be batch created in your business. How do you batch create in your business? What kind of things take you a minute to do? So here's a really interesting concept. And a travel advisor actually told me that she did this. She has her planning meetings with her clients, and she stacks them all on one day or 1.5 days. So she does all her planning meetings on a Monday and a Saturday afternoon, or Monday and a Sunday afternoon. Unless a client cannot make either of those, she does all her planning meetings back to back to back to back. It means that she has open her notepad. It means that she has a pen, she has her computer, and she's literally just doing planning meeting one after the other. When I asked her how this changed her business, she said that on the days that she has planning meetings, Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon and Monday, she's just focused. She's in a listening state of mind. She is asking the right questions, and it's one after the other after the other. And she does a better job in the planning meetings. Tuesdays in her business is research day. Tuesdays is research day. So she doesn't do anything else on a Tuesday. She doesn't take meetings and do research on the same day. And then on Tuesday, when she's researching, she has everything else off. She's not doing webinars. She's not listening to things. I was like, what about when I do a Tuesday training? She goes, I know I can catch the 3-day replay. I have to wait till Thursday to catch it. If it's super urgent and I'm going to miss it on a Thursday, like by the time that comes around, if it's gone already, I might do it at the end of my day, but I don't interrupt my Tuesday research day. On Wednesday, she puts everything into her proposals, into her itineraries, and she spends the whole day doing that. And then she sends everything out on Thursday. And I think she tells her client, like, she'll have something to them by the end of the week, which she always does actually a little bit early. So I want to ask you right now. Oh, well, I asked her, wow, where did you come up with this system? And she said, oh, I learned it in Travel Marketing Revolution. It's called batch creating. I remember thinking, okay, I never could imagine just taking calls only on one day. We're so conditioned to say, when's good for you? Or here's 5 days you can choose from. But when you're just a team of one, there is no reason at all to say, I typically do my planning meetings on a Monday, but if you work on Mondays and that doesn't work for you, I also can open a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, or perhaps a Monday evening if you want to do that. And then she just waits, you wait and listen. And someone might come back and say, I actually really can't do any of those. You might make your exception then and say, you know what, let me make an exception then. Where there's a will, there's always a way. Let me see what else I can figure out. And then you find where you're going to do it, but you know that you wouldn't offer it during a batch creating chunk of time that you have for research or for itinerary building. So let me know in the chat. And to be able to chat, all you have to do is click on watch on YouTube and you can chat there. It will come straight up, and don't worry, it won't start from the beginning. It'll start from where we're up to. But let me know in the chat, do you think that this is something you could try in your business? Could you try to do planning meetings, for example, all on one day? Could you try to do research all on one day? Could you try to do proposal building in Travefy or Traveljoy or whatever you use all in one day, and then have your proposals go out on a certain day? Because then, you know, you could also do your follow-up in a block on maybe Monday morning if you don't have a full day of planning, or on a Saturday morning, for example, depending on how you work. So we've got a response in here. I'll pop it up on my screen, and it says here, so wish I could do my research in one day and proposals the next, but 2/3 of my suppliers have a 7-day request time. Oh, wow. So you have to wait to hear back from your suppliers. Well, you can still do the same thing. You can still batch create your time, like block your time in batches. And then as things come through, that would make it for the, as soon as you hear back, it would make the next proposal building day like that. As long as I guess your supplier turnaround, that's crazy that supplier turnaround is so long. But hey, you know what it comes back to? It always comes back to expectations. As long as your clients know, you know what, suppliers are taking a long time to get back to us, but instead of you waiting, let me wait. I'll keep on top of them and I'll keep looking. It's typical across the travel industry right now, whether you're booking on your own or booking through somebody, and all travel advisors see the same thing. So, you know what? I will have something back to you by the end of next week. But in the meantime, you don't need to do anything. If anything changes, let me know. So you can still do the same thing. You might just stretch out your expectations with the client so that they know exactly where they stand. Who's Kathy says, hi, Kathy. Kathy says, true, supplier turnaround has been an obstacle lately. So yeah, I think it's really just about expectations. And then Sherry says that, yes, that would be most helpful. Maybe hard to institute as requests come in daily. I try for a 1 day or a 2 day turnaround for the requests. Well, here's an interesting thing in terms of the planning meeting. You won't lose bookings. You won't. If people need to wait a couple of days for their planning meeting, you just won't lose bookings. I have a doctor's appointment. I just want to have a conversation with my doctor. I don't need a checkup. Nothing's wrong. I just want to have a conversation with my doctor. And I had to wait. I think I made the appointment last week and it was 3 weeks away. But it feels good knowing that as a client, as a patient, that's off my to-do list. Make the appointment with the doctor. So there is already a sense of relief from your clients that it's off their to-do list. They've got the appointment booked. And in terms of, like I said, waiting for proposals, I think that just comes down to saying, you know what, this usually takes up to 2 weeks, but I'll have something to you by the end of next week. And I'll have a full itinerary and costing for you based on our planning meeting today. Kim says here, I think I could start small and save afternoons or mornings whenever I'm best ready to listen for a particular task, such as calls and itinerary planning. I love that concept, Kim, of choosing time where you best listen, where you are best focused, where you are best motivated. Do you notice that we never do power sessions in the afternoon? I just find that 9, 10 o'clock in the morning is the best time for me to do them, for me personally to do them. I can do them a little earlier, but I feel like the whole morning school drop-off routine stresses me out a little bit if I know that I've got to do something right after. And I guess I could do them before that, but I often have news, really early morning, like East Coast news to do for my TV side of my life. So I just pick when works best for me. So I definitely love the idea of doing that. Angela says, I need to redo my availability on my scheduling calendar. Great idea. And that's what I want you to take away from this. What would be the action now that you would take if you wanted to batch create? So if you want to bulk together your planning meetings and maybe make them on 2 days a week only or 3 days a week only, maybe you just want to take a baby step. Your action item on your list right now is going to be to change your scheduling tool, to go in and change the availability on your scheduling tool. My scheduling tool, for example, has very, very strict availability. And also, I don't let people book more than 10 days out. So if you're only going to book a couple of days a week, block a couple of days a week for planning meetings, make sure that you check that how far out people can book, because you don't want to say, I'll only do planning meetings on 2 days a week, but you can only book 7 days in advance. You want to give people the option to book maybe 3 weeks in advance for a planning meeting. Okay, so next on my list, let's go straight to the next thing that I'm doing on my list is I'm picking up the phone. And this one might make you laugh a little. Why? I'm getting kind of annoyed with email conversations. So I'm not talking, let me just be super clear. I'm not talking about email marketing. Email marketing is still the ace in your pocket. I'm talking about working one-on-one with somebody. Email conversations have started to feel like pickleball to me, or ping pong. I feel like everyone's inbox is so full, and especially when there's like a reply or like a conversation between multiple people. And so I'm literally phoning people without an appointment even. If I have their number, I'll pick up my phone like we did back in the 80s and I will call somebody. If not, I'll email them and ask them, do you have time today or tomorrow for a quick call, say 10 to 15 minutes? I'm getting answers faster and relationships are feeling improved. So I'm not doing follow up with people on the email anymore. I'm just not doing it. So I want to give you a really good example. I work really closely with Asta. Many of you know that. We are the number one marketing educator and marketing agency recommended worldwide by Asta. And we've worked with them for years now. So we are heavily involved when it comes to the River Cruise Expo, which I'm so excited to be their keynote, their educational keynote. And then you'll notice yesterday their entertainment keynote, I guess you call it for lack of a better word, is Wolfgang Puck, and I'm the educational keynote. And so I'm really excited about that. And then I'm sailing on the Avalon Envision afterwards. I've never sailed on Avalon, so I'm really excited that Camille invited me on the President's Cruise to be their special guest with the CEO of Asta. So that's coming up, and Asta Global Convention, which is 6 weeks later, is coming up. So there's two huge events on our calendar, two of the biggest events on our calendar, the two biggest in-person events on our calendar. And as many of you know, Traffic and Conversion, our first in-person live event, is also happening at the Asta Global Convention just 2 days before. So we've got River Cruise Expo, Traffic and Conversion, and Asta Global Convention. So needless to say, there's about 10 people at Asta that I have to work with for all different components. Oh, and I'm the MC for Asta Global Convention. So the emails have been flying backwards and forwards, and it's got to feel a little like pickleball. And if you know anything like pickleball, I feel like I'm standing in the kitchen, which is that front section right up by the net, and the balls are just like hitting me. They're emails. So not the email marketing, just the inbox of like day to day. And I got really frustrated. So about a month ago, I decided just to pick up the phone and start calling people. Like I legit didn't even ask for an appointment. Do you remember in the 80s, if you needed to speak to someone before email, you just picked up the phone. You didn't have to like write them a letter to ask them if you could have a phone call. Now it feels like you can't call people, that you have to have permission to call them, or give people advance warning. How many of you feel like you have to give people advance warning, that you can't just call like John from Virgin if you have his number, or Margie from CCRA if you have her number? Like, I'm talking about if you've got someone's number, we're still emailing. And I was getting kind of annoyed with that. So I needed to have a conversation with Megan. Megan is amazing. Megan's their marketing manager. And I didn't have her number, so I sent her an email, and it just says quick question or quick chat in the subject. And inside it said, "Hey Megan, I really need to jump on the phone with you for 10 to 15 minutes. I have a couple of things that I want to go through." Then in brackets, everything's okay. Do you have 10 to 15 minute gap somewhere today or Friday? Which of these would work for you better? She just came back and said, "I'm open all day Friday. Let's have a chat." So then I sent her a message saying, "Great, here." And then we blocked it in. And I actually ended up doing a video chat, but I would have just phoned her otherwise. We wanted to do video. And so that's really helping me. I had to have a conversation with Erica from Asta the other day. And you know what? I didn't email her first. I literally sent her a text message. I'm like, "Hey girl, can you talk? I need to talk to you. I have questions." And she said, "Oh, I'm in a board meeting right now. I'm in Turks and Caicos, but I'll be available this afternoon between 3 and 4. I was like, "Great, I'll call you then." So my suggestion to you is to ask yourself, does this warrant an email? We come from such a cover your booty culture where we feel like we need to have everything documented. And we come from a culture now, especially where we have become keyboard warriors, and we work behind a screen, and we very rarely get dressed, and some of us don't leave the house, and we're doing better at that. But I want you to ask yourself, would it just be faster if I called? Would it really just be faster if I called? Or would it be faster if I texted to get an immediate response? So that's something that we've been doing in our business that is literally doing really, really well for us. So write down a few things that you might have that might be like, you know what, I've been waiting on this person's passport details for ages. I'm just going to call them and be like, "Hey, are you at home at the moment?" "Okay." "Oh, you're not?" "Okay, I need to grab your passport details. How long until you get home?" "Great. I'll give you a call in 2 hours then. If you can grab it and pull it out on the counter, that'd be great." And then I would just do it like that. So that's how I've been doing it. I think that we have created a culture where we're afraid to pick up the phone and just call. We feel like we need to ask for permission first. Trust me, it's actually the responsibility of the other person not to pick up their phone if they don't want to. My friend is blowing up my phone right now. I know she's totally fine, but she's trying to figure out what we're doing this next week, Friday night, not even tonight, next week, Friday night, because we're double dating. So I can just leave that. That's not urgent. If it was urgent, she would send me a text after she couldn't reach me. Okay, some pro tips about picking up the phone. Before sending an email, ask yourself, can a phone call or even a text get me an answer faster? Okay. If you're nervous to pick up the phone, bullet point some notes first, and you can always leave a message. And I think you should leave a message. If you leave a message, tell them why you're calling and that you will follow up tomorrow or this afternoon. All right. And then I'm just going to pop this comment up on the screen because I love this. So many people do not answer a call they don't recognize. I need to let them know or find a time. So there's a really easy way around that. And I agree with you. People don't like to pick up the phone if they don't know who it is. That's fine. Call anyway. You don't have to text ahead to let them, you don't need to announce yourself. Call anyway. Call and then leave a message and let them know you'll be calling back. And in the message, you can say, go ahead and save my details to your phone if you don't have it. That way you'll know it's me when I'm calling back. It's up to the other person to decide if they want to pick up the call. And then what I will sometimes do as well is I'll text my contact card. That's an extra little pro tip for you. How many of you actually have, and let me pull it up on my phone. Don't you all write down my phone number. I'm not answering. I'm joking. Okay. So what I actually have in my phone is I go into the contact list. So just the regular contact list here. Like this, it's the regular phone contact list. And I actually have done up, not that one. I have two numbers. Okay. So I've done up, I'll just show you this. I've done up a contact for myself and I've added my phone number, my website, my social handles, my telephone number, everything in there, my title, everything. And I've set myself up as a contact. One of the things that I made sure I did was to put my photograph on there. When I give someone, when someone says to me, hey, can I have your phone number? What I actually do is I airdrop them my contact card, or I say, let me text you my contact card. The reason I do that is because when I do call somebody who I've just given my number to, I want my face to pop up when I call them on their phone, because I don't like that feeling of, who is this? Sandra who? Sandra from where? And that makes me feel really uncomfortable, and it shouldn't. It's like a thing that I have to work through, but it helps me when they've got my contact card. Or if someone's like, oh, let me call your phone and then you can save my number. I hate that because then I have to figure out how to input that person's name, company, job title into my phone. So if you haven't done that before, AI on your page, action item, create yourself a contact card, put your job title, put your company name, put your email, put your social handles, put your photo, put everything in there. Everything in there. Y'all, I even put my birthday in there. I didn't put the year because people wouldn't believe that I am where I am. But I actually, and for my security purposes, I don't want my date of birth out there floating around that much. But I just put January 3rd as my birthday, because guess what? It ends up showing in people's calendars and it just makes them think of me. So I think that they might be like, oh, you know what? Our host agency should organize training for our travel advisors when my name pops up. So go ahead and do that. Put action item on your notepad. If you're old school like me and you like to write it down, action item, and create yourself a contact card. And next time somebody asks you for your details, especially because you could meet anyone who's a potential client anywhere, you could go ahead and text that to them. You can also put a link in there for your lead magnet. How cool is that? So it's just other, and it's a website address, and you could put a link for that. Somebody asked, Lisa says, great idea, my first AI. There you go. Brenda says, what a great idea. Angela says, I've done that as well. It works so well. Okay, so is Denise your first name? I would love to know your first name. It just says DP Demmer. Office number is a landline. So what would you suggest? So you can still put in your office number there as your preferred contact. But again, I guess maybe you would have two contact cards, one for people that you do want to give your cell phone number to, and one where it's just your office number is your preferred number. And then if you put office and personal on there, people really don't often call your personal if you have an office number listed. But maybe if you really don't want people calling your personal phone, this is not a thing for you to do. Tara says, if you meet someone out that wants your contact info and you text it to them, you can then follow back up with them if they were interested in a trip. Absolutely. Yeah. And when I give someone my contact card, they always go, "Oh, wow, that's so clever. I should do that too." And then I say to them, once you've done it, text it to me because I hate contacts in my phone that don't have full information. And can I just tell you why my husband's not listening? Anthony has like 145 people called John in his phone. And it bothers me because I'm very organized and structured, and my husband is not structured. He's his own version of organized. And so when he says, "Hey, grab my phone when we're driving, can you text John and tell him that we're running late for dinner with him and Carrie?" I open up the phone and I need a brown paper bag to breathe because it's not organized. So you don't want people also having your contact information in their phone, like clients, and then meeting someone going, "Oh, you should use my travel advisor," and do it like that. Like when I recommend my travel advisor to people, I have Melissa's contact card perfectly filled in. Perfectly filled in. Now, here's another thing also. This is a good idea. It's not as helpful, but for the landline people, if you don't want to share your cell phone number, create yourself a contact card. And then when you're standing with someone and they're like, "Oh, I would love to talk to you about that kind of travel. Yeah, I've never used a travel advice. Yeah, give me your number." You pull it up and it doesn't have your cell phone number on it and hold it up to them and be like, "Hey, here, take a picture of my phone." So then they can snap it and they've got everything in there and it's in their photo album. Just another way of being able to do that. Julianne says, "Can you put up that last list of things to do?" Absolutely. So I'm picking up the phone more. So some pro tips. Before sending an email, ask yourself, can a phone call or even a text get me an answer faster? And number two, if you're nervous to pick up the phone, write some bullet points first. You can always leave a message. If you leave a message, tell them why and that you'll follow up tomorrow. One of the things that also I've been doing, and I don't have it on here, but I want to just add it as an addition, this is a bonus, is that I've started creating agendas for all of my calls, all of them. Like when someone books time in my calendar on Calendly, like Stephanie from Travefy asked me the other day if we could have a meeting next week. I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I quickly went into Travefy and I changed the intake question. So it's got first name, last name, company after she picks her time. And then it says, what would be the outcomes? What outcomes do you want to achieve from this call? Or what agenda items would you like to see added? I will share an agenda with you right before our call. And then inside of the actual calendar event that it comes up on Google Calendar, I can just click open and in the notes, I put an agenda before our call. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. I have a meeting with Ama Waterways on Wednesday for our partnership for 2023. And there's 5 things already bullet pointed in there. Agendas, I think people felt that they were formal. And you kind of think about agendas as like very like city council, school PT meeting kind of situation. But every call needs to have an agenda so that people don't feel like, "Oh, we're just getting on the phone and we don't ever have an outcome." So that's something else that I'm doing just there. Okay, so let's go back to the official list. The official list and the next one. I'm leaving my house. Why? Because I've learned that a change in work environment is underestimated and undervalued. I have too many distractions at home, no matter how hard I try. I literally was sat right here 2 minutes before turning the camera on, and Anthony came to the door and he said, "I know you're about to go live, but," and then told me 4 things. And I actually forgot all of them already because I was so focused on what I was doing here. I'd prepared my slides yesterday. I'd set up my little corner today. I went and got the pillow off of my bed to bring in here because I like the look of the black and white. I have my coffee next to me. I have my French press. I was ready to go. So sometimes, even when people know what you're doing, there's still going to be distractions. Downstairs, I was meant to do this workshop with you today, this power session in my living room. But I did not do the school run today. And when I went down to the kitchen to make my coffee, y'all, it looked like a typhoon had come through our house. There's laundry everywhere, eggs on the counter. Houston clearly didn't like breakfast 1 or 2 that was presented to him because there's a third option. The kitchen looks like a hot mess. Anthony's already cleaned it up. He's great. But I looked at it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, if I came down here and started setting up in my last 10 minutes before the power session, I wouldn't be spending my time focused and breathing and thinking and preparing. I would spend my time folding laundry and putting all of these eggshells into the trash can because that's how I am." I'm also obsessed with the amount of work that I'm getting done when I leave the house. So here are my pro tips for you. And my new business coach actually has a whole podcast episode on retreats, which reinforced to me why this is working for me when I listened to that podcast episode yesterday. So, number one, start with a Starbucks or a hotel lobby near home. Now, if Starbucks is noisy for you, one of the things that I like to do is to put on noise canceling headphones. I actually don't listen to anything. A lot of people, the more TV that I do, the more people recognize me in public and they're like, oh, especially like in LA, if I do a lot of ABC7. But just in general, people seem to recognize me more these days. And when I sit in Starbucks, they feel like I'm in a cafe, so it's a social place and it's a place to come chat. And I'm for the most part always willing to say hello to people. But when I go to Starbucks for this, I want to work, so I put my headphones on, and I do this on a plane as well. Even if I'm listening to nothing, it helps to block the background noise and also makes it look like I'm really busy. So I start with a Starbucks. The other thing that's so great, you guys, is hotel lobbies. Oh my goodness. I don't think that most people know that you could just go sit in a hotel lobby. You don't have to be checking in. You don't have to be doing anything, especially one with a cafe or a bar or a Starbucks in the lobby. So think about which hotel lobbies you have near you, even if you're an hour away. Think of it as a day of going to work. Trust me, no hotel will ever be saying, why are you here? Are you checking in? People might stop and ask, can I help you with anything? You'd be like, no, I'm fine, thank you. So I've started hopping around some lobbies. There are like 8 hotels within half a mile of where I live. So I've been lobby hopping, and hotel lobbies on a weekday, especially if it's like some of the hotels near us are for for a nearby theme park in SoCal, in Southern California. And so on the weekends, they're really busy, but during the week, they're not. So find nice hotel lobbies. Now, I also like to go to hotel lobbies that are really fancy, and I like to go to some that are just really basic because they're closer to my house. New hotels are my favorite place to go because their lobbies always smell nice. So if you need to, go ahead and do the hotel lobby. You can do a different lobby every time. I now also do a 1 or 2 night stay every quarter, every business year quarter, at a hotel near me. I try to go on weekdays, but that's just because for my family, it's easier. It's easier on Anthony if I go on like a Wednesday, Thursday, because then I'm gone all day Wednesday night, and all day Thursday. And he just has to manage the before school and after school. And then night times is really easy here because our child actually takes himself to bed at 7:30. So I try to do that during the week, but just kind of look at your family or your home situation or your life and ask, where would this cause less drama for people? And if you say to yourself, well, I've got a bunch of kids, I couldn't do this. No, we have somebody in our community who has 6 kids under the age of 12, and she does this now every quarter as well. So I either use points if I can, or I'll do a business expense for it. If you're growing your business, you're scaling your business right now, and you can't afford to do this every quarter, just go do it once. Go do it once, get a taste of it. It could be $100 a night. It could be like nothing fancy, and just take with you what you need. I make sure, my pro tip, that I prepare thoroughly before I leave, and I close all my distracting apps on my computer and websites using a Chrome extension. So I have a Chrome extension that actually blocks me from getting on Facebook, Etsy, and Amazon and Instagram. So I really like box myself into a corner like that. And then I put my phone into do not disturb mode, and my computer goes into do not disturb as well. And I block those 2 days out a long time in advance so that I have no meetings and nothing to do on those days. So I love this question. Thank you. Michelle says, what do you focus on during that 1 to 2 night stay in each quarter? So the first thing that I do, Michelle, is I actually do what's called, and I learned this from my new business coach. Sorry, I'm a little. Okay. I learned this from my business coach. And basically, I do what's called a thought download. And I'll teach this to you when I'm qualified to teach this stuff. But basically, I sit down and in terms of my business, with my business hat on, I write down all the things that are in my head, all the things that are on my brain. So right now, I can do this for you, a quick example. This is what it would look like for me to do a thought download. I really need to keep the momentum up on the River Cruise marketing kit that we're going to launch in Budapest. I've got to make sure that everything is done on time. I think that my Excel spreadsheet listing out all the items in there is up to date now. So probably this afternoon, when I do Friday's planning, I can start dispersing those amongst the team. I think Houston needs more milk. I need to go downstairs and check. I need to make sure also that there's no washing in the machine. I don't think I did a load this morning. Okay, back to work. I want to start working on some more bundles on Monday. So let me make a list of all the bundles that I want to do. I think I'm going to start doing the article bundle because that's the next step for bundles when images are difficult, because images are a challenge to source sometimes. So I'm going to do like article bundles only. So it might be 3 really unique river cruise ports, or 3 really tiny islands, or 3 regions of a destination where I'll do an article on each. And then that bundle will just have 3 articles. So I should probably brainstorm a list of things that I can do there. Also, I need to go back because there's a page on our website that's got yellow stuff on there from our old branding. So I need to get Ez to fix that. And today I've got to do my weekly priorities. And is there anything else that I can feel in my body or in my mind that's causing me grief in my company right now, in my business? I need to do some audio I need to edit a podcast episode. I've got 6 podcast episodes ready to go, and I need to edit one and put it up this weekend. Okay. That is everything that was in my head when it came to my business. And then I stopped talking because I couldn't think of anything else. And I usually would audio record this, and then I would go back and I would write a list. That list helps me to identify what I need to do my hotel stay on. So I know that my next hotel stay, it's coming up very soon, is literally a writer's hotel stay, a writing content creation. I am literally going to write articles for bundles. It is the number one thing that I want to spend 2 full days doing, nothing else. So that kind of a thought download helps me to clear some of the stuff that's bringing me stress. Some other things that I use my my quarter for is to batch create audio recordings. So with podcasts, that's really helpful. So you could do like your podcast batch day recording. You might decide to do some itineraries in Travefy and then do some audio recordings, doing a walkthrough of those, or Loom video recordings. It's whatever kind of brings you, whatever you can batch create is great. They're great for batch creation, but also they're great for tasks that are really hard to focus on at home. Okay, what is that extension? I need that. I forget what it's called. Let me see real quick if it's up on my computer. It is called, I just had to restart my computer. It's something like a block screen. I'll find it and then I will add it. I'll do an Instagram post about it today for you. Okay. Any questions? Michelle says, your thought dump sounds like my brain. That's what it is. It's everything that's in your brain that's got to come out, because when you don't dump it, when you don't export, it stays in there. And it for me anyway, it affects my mental health. It affects how I feel, my feelings, and my thoughts and my feelings impact my action. So I'm just really learning right now. I'm not great at it, but I'm learning to get better. You can do a thought dump for your marriage, a thought dump for your friendship, a thought dump for your kids. Like I did a thought dump this morning about Houston because there are some things going on. He's great, but there's some things going on and I just got it all off my chest and got it out. Okay. Tara says, I just told my husband I wanted to go away for the weekend and only work on setting up my automated email tasks and emails. There you go. And listen, if you can't afford to do this right now, financially afford to do it, make like you're sleeping somewhere else. So leave at like 7 a.m. before everybody gets up and go to the hotel lobby or the Starbucks and spend all day. And you got to get up and you got to move around. You got to walk. Maybe you'll take yourself to lunch somewhere and then you'll go straight back and stay there until like 6 o'clock and then come home. If you can't afford to stay overnight, you can afford the library. Oh my gosh, the public library. I have not been into a public library and I don't know how long, but that should be the next place that I check out. There's some really nice libraries out there. So there you go. Okay, so let's go back to the list of things because we're not done through the list. We're almost there. I think that's everything. Preparation is definitely key before you go though. And here's another thing that I'm doing. I'm putting my core message on my posts. So why? I saw someone else do it, is how it started, but this is why. When a stranger or someone who doesn't know your brand very well sees your posts, they have to, they have no context as to who you are and what you do. As can you change, make a note to change that spelling mistake just there, just here at the end of the sentence. They have no context as to who you are and what you do. It requires them to go hunting for that information. Have you ever thought about that? Like if someone finds your post, they have all the content in your post, they might like it, but they literally have to hunt to learn more. So let me show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to open up Instagram because I haven't blocked myself today. And I'm going to share this tab. I love seeing this. 2 comments, 10 likes, 3 new followers. That's always good. I can't help myself that I just love to click on them. And oh, wow, these are really huge comments. I hope everything is okay. I will go back and read them later. Oh my gosh, look at this. I want this type of confidence. I love that. She's loving on herself. Okay, so let's go to what we were going to do. Let's have a look at my Instagram. Okay, there we go. And I just want to show you exactly what I mean. So last night I put up this post. I like to hide my like count because I don't want people focus on how many likes I got. I put up my post right here, and it's kind of a long post, but even though it's a long post, at the bottom of the post, oh no, hold on. This one I didn't do it only because, oh no, I did. Here we go. I didn't put it in the post because Instagram has a character count of 2,200, and this was a very long post. So I put it in the first comment. Okay, here's another example. I put up this post 3 days ago, and it's for everybody if you want to learn more about escorted groups. This is an amazing podcast episode where I interviewed a travel advisor. And look, underneath it, this section just here, at Travel Marketing and Media, we help over 42,000 travel advisors and agencies to get a consistent stream of new clients. You deserve to have a business that is wildly profitable and brings you joy. If you're tired of attracting the wrong clients, or none at all, and you're ready to join us for content, community, and coaching that will help you to reach your goals, you are in the right place. To learn more, head to, and then I put the website. So what would this look like for you? You can go ahead and put your message in there. You could add put whatever you want in there. Keep it kind of brief. I try to put a little symbol in there to make it easier to see. But yeah, we're literally putting this at the bottom of every post because I figure if somebody sees this post and then starts reading, well, great, they learned something from my post, but then there's some context for my business right here. So then I'll just go to Facebook. Oh, hold on, I wanted to go to my Facebook page. Okay, so this is our Facebook page, and I will show you how it is exactly the same in our Facebook page. This post here is about the traffic and conversion event that I would love for you to come to in San Juan to work with me in person. We will be in person in a room together working on your business. And see, look, I did exactly the same thing here. I put in my core message. Scroll down. This is this really, really long post. Oh, I was able to put it on the post itself here because Facebook allows a longer post. Here it is right here again. And I just have found that it gives new people more clarity on who I am straight up. And I'm doing the same thing in LinkedIn as well. Okay, so let's go back to the screen. So put it at the bottom of every post. Add your lead magnet in it if you've got a good lead magnet to drive more traffic. And if you have a lead, oh, I put that twice. Can you make a note there to adjust my slides? I made these yesterday because it's a new training. So just to delete one of those bullet points. And so yeah, add your lead magnet to the bottom if you have one there. Alrighty, and this is my last one. I'm hiring people who are better than me. So I mentioned this the other day in things that profitable travel advisors are doing, but I also am doing this right now. So I really wanted to call this out. And one particular area was copywriting. I hired a copywriter just as a task to do a sequence of emails for me. She's not on my team. She's not working for us. She just came in, did a task and left. And it was an email sequence. Why? You get what you pay for. It's not your job. nor an effective use of your time for you to learn something and then train someone. And your business needs the quality that only an expert can bring. So y'all are out here telling people not to DIY their travel, but you're trying to DIY a bunch of things in your business. So I hired a copywriter to do a couple of email sequences for me. I saved a list of tasks and then I hired her just for that particular task, or you can hire on a per hour basis. Another pro tip, don't feel like you have to hire an expert on an ongoing basis. I literally hired her just for those tasks, and I don't know that I'll work with her again. I don't know. Not for any reason, just yeah, it got done and it's over and moved on. And then another pro tip is find experts in communities based around the tools. So I think that that's really important as well. That's you can find like Dubsado is a tool that we use. We're going to find an expert who is in the Dubsado Facebook group, and that's where we're going to hire them from. So I think that I have everything here. Yes, I got everything done. Those are my things that I'm doing right now in my business that are really, really, really working for me. So I would love to know if, oh yeah, I can put up that last slide again. That's no problem. Let me just screen share. There we go. So hire people who are better than you. There you go. So I want you right now to let me know what you can do that I'm currently doing. If there's anything that you can take away today. So I want you to type into the chat AI action item. AI action item, and type in what your actual action item is. Like, what is the actual task? One person did it before, so I'm just going to go and put theirs up on the screen because I loved the way they did it. Leslie wrote AI self-contact card. So AI, she's going to create a contact card in her phone. And I'll give you a little tip around that. I actually have 2 numbers in my phone right now. I have 2 numbers in my phone. One of them is my private number that literally my family has and some friends. And the other one is numbers that travel industry have, TV producers, everybody like that. Like there's hardly anyone that has my private number. I don't use it for anything. It's just that. A lot of phones these days come with what's called eSIM capability. So I just have a standard iPhone. It's an iPhone 13, I think, and it's got a SIM card in it, but I also added a second line for like $15, unlimited calls and texts. And I know when I'm calling somebody, let me just show you, for example, like if I wanted to call my friend Tiffany, just there. If I wanted to call my friend Tiffany, at the top there, it says public or private. And if I tap it, it'll come up and it'll let me call from my public or my private number on there. So, I use that, and because of that, I have 2 contact cards. So if someone comes up and says, "Can I have your number?" Well, then I would give them the public number. If it's like I don't share my number with the travel advisor community because nobody shares their number with 42,000 people. But say, for example, John from Virgin comes up and he's like, "Sandra, we need to have a meeting. Can I have your number?" I would give him the public number and not my private number. And then I have 2 business cards. And here's how I differentiate between them. The private one is a black and white photo and the public one's a color photo. So that's just another little tip for you right there. All right, so let's have a look at some of the AIs. Oh, I love this. Oh my gosh, I want to put them on. Okay, so action item, put my team's tasks in Trello each week. Love that. AI electronic business card. Love it. Kathy says, redo my availability on Calendly. Love it. Lisa says, I'm creating my contact card in my phone. Sarah says, I can't wait to work on my core business message for my post. She's going to go ahead and write her core business message. Linnell says, self-contact card. Definitely, she's going to create a contact card. Erin says, add my core message to my social media post. The smallest thing, smallest little thing. Tara says, set an agenda for my calls next week. Love it. Michelle says, a 1 to 2 night getaway and my self-contact card. Barbara says, I'm going to create a contact card. Karen says, I think that's Karen. Karen says, I've got a really good memory. I remember people's initials and names. Karen says, contact my key on-site supplier and get some sample itineraries to enter into Travefy. Really good idea. We're going to be, I'll tell you about that in a sec. The River Cruise marketing kit. For those who are going, can you let me know in the chat if you're going to Budapest next month? And number two, make a self-contact card. Very good. Barbara, update scheduling tool. Very good, Barbara. Sherry says, contact card on my phone for sure. Julianne says, I'm doing a contact card on my phone and core message on my posts. Love it. Lisa says, action item number 2, I'm going to get a second line to ring in my cell phone. Love it. I switched from T-Mobile, where we were paying for 3 lines, Anthony's line, my line, and my private line. We were paying $296 a month. Now, it did include the free text when we were roaming to almost any country in the world. Instead of $196 a month, we're now paying $75 a month for all 3 lines. It doesn't include unlimited text when we're roaming, but then we realized if you add that up over the cost of a year, over the course of a year, we're not spending that much on roaming texts anyway. We're almost always on Wi-Fi when we're traveling, and you can prepay roaming so you don't get a rude bill at the end. Yeah, I said that, rude bill. You can prepay roaming. So before we go to Budapest next month, we're just going to put $50 onto each phone and only onto one of my lines, not both. I'll do it onto my public line. And we're going to prepay $50 of roaming in case we need it. So there is a thought there. They're really cheap. It's called Mint. It's owned by like one of the Ryans, like Ryan Gosling or Ryan Reynolds or someone like that. Okay. Okay. What else in here? AI. Okay. Oh, well, last one from Anita is I'm going to get a second line and set up a contact card. Perfect. Okay. So why did I ask who's going to River Cruise Expo? Oh, I have a question for you. I need your help. Can you guys all help me before we say goodbye? What do you use for Wi-Fi when you travel with the new service? Oh, I just go on to, I just use like hotel Wi-Fi or airport Wi-Fi. We did buy this thing from Best Buy, which is in a box, lost probably in the storage unit because I haven't seen it since we moved, where we could get Wi-Fi anywhere around the world. You just carry this little thing. But actually, we always just do really well getting Wi-Fi where we go, and we're just going to have $50 of roaming loaded onto our phones. Okay, I have a question for you, and I would like you all to respond, please, if you can. Would it be helpful if we created bundles for our shop that had Travefy itinerary and maybe a matching article or matching 2 articles for an itinerary? Because we've never been supplier specific and we don't really want to be with our bundles. But say, for example, it might be a Danube River Cruise itinerary. We can make it non-ship specific. We can just make it the days of the week, the ports that you would hit. And then of course on there, we could write order of ports may vary. This is a sample itinerary, only order of ports might vary, but it's really focused on you start here, you end here, you visit these places, and here's what you'll experience in each place. And then we put, for example, a matching article about one of those ports. Would that be the kind of bundle that you would find helpful? And what other than like cruise itineraries, because we can do it for ocean cruises as well. It doesn't matter if it's not a legit 5-day as is, as long as it's written on there, this is a sample itinerary only, you'll find one that's similar. East Caribbean is East Caribbean, West Caribbean is West Caribbean, Mexican Riviera is Mexican Riviera on an ocean cruise, right? It's pretty standard. Most cruise lines don't have wow itineraries unless it's the private island, but you'd be able to edit the itinerary if you wanted to. Would that be something that would be helpful? Can you do it for Access to? I have no idea what Access is. So the answer would probably be an initial no, because I don't know what Access is. Okay. People are saying yes, yes, yes. That would be super great. Would love that. But okay. So we might start doing that because, as you know, we started partnering with Travefy because we have a similar audience and they're co-hosting the San Juan event with us. If you are not coming, please check your calendar, 29th and 30th of April, and ask yourself, what could 2 days with Sandra do for my business? If I was just to work on my business, like we're not having suppliers come in the room, you're not getting talked to by suppliers. It is literally working on leads and sales for your business. So ask yourself, what could that do for my business? We've got payment plans for it. I was looking at San Juan accommodation and flights today. Flights from New York for that event, $300 Delta round trip direct, Atlanta, 275 round trip direct. So lots of really great flight prices right now. But accommodation wise, I know that the room block at the hotel is really expensive. It's like over 300 a night. I had a look. Some of my favorite places to stay in San Juan are like 125 a night. So ask yourself, what could this do for my business? Do I need to go to San Juan with Sandra and spend 2 days there? I will be right there in the class helping you with your businesses. If you've never done in person with me, this is a good chance to do it. If you've done Travel Marketing Revolution, we're going to cover most of the stuff we cover is in there. But if you haven't implemented it or you're not seeing the benefits, that's probably a wake up that you need to do more. You're not there yet. Okay, so that's all done. Let me just check that there's no questions in here. Oh, here, Julianne said, Access is another itinerary builder that looks really nice, trying to decide between Access and Travefy. Unfortunately, we can be used with Constant Contact and not Travefy. Okay, Lynn says, can be used with Constant Contact and not Travefy or Access. So we could also do a Canva version. That would be an option. We could do a Canva version. I'll have a think about it. I'm not interested, unfortunately, in learning a bunch of tools because I'll never do it in every tool. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe we put it together in Canva and you can use it in Canva because then you can brand it in Canva and share a link, a view-only link. That might be another way to do it. Because yeah, and maybe it doesn't go into Travefy or an itinerary builder that doesn't force you to use a tool that you don't already use. So let me know, would a Canva version work? If we started building out itineraries in Canva, would that work? Canva version is more universal and would be great. Kathy says Canva would be great. Michelle says yes, Canva version. Okay, we're not going to do it in Travefy. We're going to do it in Canva. This is why I like to ask. Might like to ask. Okay, last thing before we go. Linnell says, Ez, can you put the link for Puerto Rico? Oh, you did already. Great. Put the link for Puerto Rico. Please go register for Puerto Rico. I want to work with you for 2 days in person. We're also going to go walking through. There's an optional add-on that we can go out and do a photo shoot in San Juan. I'm going to bring a photographer. I'm going to teach you. Anthony and I are going to be there. We're going to teach you how to take photos. You're going to get a bunch of photos that you're going to learn how to take photos and video. It's going to be really good. Linnell says, I might get goofy if I meet you in person. Hashtag starstruck. No, starstruck is me meeting Regina King and Angela Bassett at the gym and becoming friends with them and never knowing what to say until about a year in. We're just regular people. We're all just regular people. I'll tell you one thing that you'll be surprised to know about me. People who have cruised with me will know this. I'm not very social. Like, I'm not someone to go to the bar or hang out in a lounge or go to the club or anything like that. I'm actually a lot shyer in person. I'm very much used to talking to a piece of glass and a lens. So I'm not the loudest, most social person in the room. I come alive on camera and on stage. So I'm really can be very socially awkward if I've never met you before. But here's one thing that you should expect when you meet me in Budapest and San Juan. I do not know what your face looks like. I only know your names. So you have to please help me with my social anxiety by coming up and saying, hi, I'm Michelle Pate. Hi, I'm Karen Dennison, because Karen Dennison, I've known who you are for years. You've been in our community for a long time. Karen Morrow as well. But I don't know what your faces are. So I can't match faces with names. So that would help. And you know what's really helpful to me? It makes me want to cry when people do it. They show me their name tag and they go, I'm this person. And straight away, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the best. And I love taking photos with people as well. So make sure that you help me out, please, when you see me in person, but really consider coming to San Juan, because I would love to work with you on your business for 2 full days. I guarantee you it will change your business. Travefy is coming as well, but they're not coming to sell Travefy. They're coming to help you more with your sales conversion. So if you're doing proposals and you're not getting a high buy-in or closure rate, they're going to help you with some stuff like that. Okay, gotta go. It's an hour and 20. Well, the session was only an hour, but we chit-chatted for a little bit. I don't think we need to do a best moment because you've all got action items. What I really, really like right now is for you to go and do what you said you were going to do. Before you do anything else, pretend that you are still on this call. Like, just keep everything open. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. Just sit down and create the contact card. Sit down and do something. And if you really don't have time to do it right now because you've got to go somewhere else, then put it in your calendar. Go and block time right now to put it in your calendar. This replay will be right here on this page. It automatically clicks into a replay the second I hit end broadcast. It becomes a replay and you got 3 days to catch up again. Alrighty, that's everything. Thank you so much. Bye for now.